Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today, as Egypt is celebrating today the 71st anniversary of the July 23 revolution of 1952. To shed more light on this occasion, we have the pleasure to have this phono with our dear guest, Dr. Hassan Wageeh, Professor of International Relations. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Well, Dr. Wageeh, what were the main reasons for the eruption of the revolution of the 23rd of July 1952?
Of course, there are several reasons, as any revolution, when the governing system is not aware of the pulses of the masses. So revolutions erupt. So July's revolution is not an exception in that.
Yes. Dr. Wageeh, can we say that the Palestine war in 1948 and the corruption of the weapons, as we know that 4 cannons have exploded while Egyptians were fighting for Palestine. Can we say that that was one of the main reasons of the eruption of the revolution?
History books tells us that it was, but there are debates among the historians whether that was a truthful thing or not.
Yes. So what were the conditions here in Egypt in 1952 before the eruption of the revolution?
The King Farouk was in power, and Egyptian people lived in a kingdom, not a republic.
Yes.
That was a difference.
Yes.
And also you have the situation about occupation of the country was there, and the British occupation was there, and that was a very big obstacles against the aspirations of the people.
Yes, there was also several instances that erupted also before the eruption of the revolution of 1952. As for example, one of the very important incidents in the history of modern history of Egypt is the incident of Ismailia on the 25th of January when the police have defended the police station. So give us an idea about this, please.
Yes, of course. This was a really good point that you raised, because when it comes to the Ismailia strife or Ismailia engagement between the police officers and the British forces, of course, that was a very good sign about how Egyptians reject the occupation of their country by a foreign power like Britain at that time. And it tells you something very good about the how Egyptians feel indignant and feel deeply about how to defend their country, to defend their freedom, and to reject occupation. That was a good sign for rejection of occupation of Egypt.
Yes, and this day after this was the day of the police, of course, in Egypt. Yes. So also there was another event which is took place in January also of 1952, which is the fire of the fires that erupted in Cairo. Several parts of Egypt, the shops, and there was several parts in Cairo that was put on fire.
Yes, that was signs of unrest, but also there history books. There is a kind of debate who did that exactly. Nobody knows exactly. There are 2 or 3 versions of historical references for this. Some people say they are Ikhwan, some people say
Yes.
the king himself, some people say other parties.
Yes, about the steps, what happened actually in this day, the 23rd of July of the year 1952? What were the steps that the army has taken in this day?
Of course, there was a plan, and there was this plan was implemented. And one of the things that we know from history books now is that there were good luck when this happened. There was a great deal of good luck in succeeding the whole thing. And also, let us say that that day in particular, Egyptians didn't like bloodshed, and even the king situation, the king's stance was good when he did not like to get in a collision course with the forces that really made the coup at that time.
Yes, and what did the army have asked the, King Farouk to ascend the throne and give the throne to his son Ahmed? Yes, tell us
Yes.
about this, please.
Yeah, of course. As I've said, that was good arrangements. That no bloodshedding is there, and there was good cooperation from the two sides to get it as a white revolution. And this is a white point in our history when it comes to no bloodshed.
Yes, the reaction of the Egyptian people and how the Egyptian people reacted to this move by the army or by the army soldiers. Give us an idea about how the people are, there was, the people accepted and stood behind their army at that time.
Actually, the situation was very critical at that time. Egyptian people were suffering from several issues, and there is some kind of exclusive public that was there because of so many factors. The factor of the occupation, the factor of the bad reputation about what the governing system at that time by the king was. There were either rumors or there were real factors, but the end point reached to the feeling of the people that they have to rebel against that. So when they have witnessed that the army is doing that for them, they felt like this needs to be supported, of course.
Yes, so by this we can say, Dr. Wageeh, that that was a very good example in the history of Egypt of the unity between the people of Egypt and their army. Yes, so well, also what about the gains and the outcome of and the recommendations of the revolution?
Yes, of course, there was a consensus at that time for several principles. Establishing a strong army, establishing social justice, establishing democracy, establishing, all this good civilian life. There are so many maxims that Egyptians were aspiring to achieve, and we are still working on that till now.
Yes, that was concerning the calls after the revolution. But what about the events that took place on the ground that followed the revolution and the important decisions that was made by the free officers?
Again, your question, please.
Yes, on the ground, what was the main events that took place after that followed the revolution, and also the recommendations and decisions that were made by the free officers after the revolution?
I did not understand this question. Could you ask me another question?
Okay. We spoke about the outcome and the recommendations. I was asking you, sir, about the events that followed the revolution. You don't want to answer this question. No problem. Okay, what
Yeah.
is the impact of the revolution of the 1952, not only in Egypt, but in the Arab region and Africa?
Yes, of course. When the revolution erupted, there are a wave of revolutions that really were erupted too, because the same factors were there: occupation. The slogans raised by the Egyptian revolution were very ambitious, and the masses really was carried away by this slogans, and they felt that they have to implement these slogans and get them into real action.
Yes, Dr. Wageeh, also, how did the revolution pave way for the social justice and the freedom of the citizens?
Yes, when it comes to the revolution, when it comes to social justice, actually, education is very important, because many people were afforded that. It was for special privilege in the class. One of the real good things about the revolution is that it offered all Egyptians a good chance for having excellent education at that time. You remember that, when we can say Ahmed Zawil, the great scientist, Farouk al-Baz, the great scientist also, and many, many, many others were an outcome of that education, which was very good education.
Yes, sir. I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information. Dr. Hassan Wageeh, Professor of International Relations. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us over the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break and I'm going to be back with you.